When I started planning my wedding with Pinterest inspiration, I did not have a venue chosen yet. I just got so stinking excited that I was finally getting married. I started pinning anything and saving everything and looking for everything. Focus a good big chunk on what it is you're going to offer. So venue setup, venue location, availability times, things that you have already. Make sure that's a big bulk, but you don't want to miss out on the opportunity of someone that doesn't have a venue, that is only thinking about cakes right now because they just got proposed to 2 weeks ago. And so we want to make sure we're hitting everybody during this whole planning phase of their strategy.
Welcome to the Venue RX. On this show, we document and share best practices around owning, operating, and managing world-class wedding venues.
What's up, everyone? Jonathan here with the Venue RX, and we on this show are all about making a change for the better in your business, better at your venue, and we are excited to do that in a number of different ways. Of course, we have the Venue Owner series where we talk to venue owners. We also have a whole track on this show that talk about all of the things that you need for marketing, for your sales, for your operations, everything to do with running your venue and successfully having a good venue in the wedding industry. And Pinterest is one of those marketing platforms that, you know, some of us may be very familiar with, but some of us also may not be as comfortable with, and maybe we haven't even explored it. And so today on the show, we are going to be talking to Laura Reich. She has an incredible business where she helps creatives actually really use Pinterest and not just, you know, kind of randomly pin things, but really use it in an intentional way. And so we're going to be talking to her today. Laura, thank you so much for being here. This is going to be a great chat. Thanks for spending your time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Okay, so just right off the bat, if someone has never used Pinterest before, they've heard people say, oh, I have a board or I'm pinning something. And so they're like, we should probably start thinking about this. Is Pinterest for everyone, or is there only kind of a specific group of people that should be using this as a marketing channel?
For sure. So I like to say Pinterest is for everyone. That's all I do. That's all I've been doing for 16 years. But my unbiased way to help people see that is honestly just go up and grab your phone, your tablet, go on your computer and type in the search bar what you want to be known for. So it can be any type of phrase. It might not be the right one in the beginning, and we can get to that later. But what pulls up underneath your search, if those are things that you talk about, you provide value on, you offer for services, then that's my unbiased opinion as a missed opportunity for your brand.
Okay, so pretty much if you have a garden wedding venue or an urban wedding venue, or even if you're just kind of generally in the events industry and you have a photography business or a planning company or whatever, you should put that in, and some of those search results are going to be popping up on Pinterest. How often is Pinterest a search platform?
Yeah, so Pinterest is miscommonly unknown as like just crafts and recipes and blogs and things like that. And yet that's on there. However, it is a search-based platform. So anything that you would want to be found for on Google or any other type of search engine, Pinterest can help you with their domain authority to be found on those places and on their own platform. So it's really helpful in terms of borrowing their domain authority, in terms of using it as more of like a redirection type site, because people are going to the platform with that search intent. So you're already past like the normal stalls in marketing of, is this going to help me? Is this something I want to learn about or hire for or things like that? They've already gotten past that and they're on the platform searching for that solution or that service or product that they need right now.
I have personally heard and seen Pinterest used heavily in a design setting and kind of an inspiration setting. So at some of the venues that we manage, you know, it's like I have a Pinterest board for my wedding inspiration or my colors or things like that.
Yeah.
What is the opportunity there for wedding pros to kind of be found on that platform when you already have users that are searching for inspiration and kind of looking for the physical expression of what they have in their minds?
Yeah. So, I mean, I planned my own wedding on Pinterest and had my own secret board. And where I thought it was really cool, the venue that I was working with, actually, I found them on Pinterest because some of the ideas that I wanted to implement in my own wedding, they had pictures of that I could visually see that had been done in the past. Now, I made my own alterations and things like that when I sat down with them, but they did a really good job of showing the transformation that I was longing for in my wedding with images that were previous weddings that they had helped with, whatever it was, and then used the searchability for my location, when the wedding was going to be, what month it was going to be, and like all those different terms. So on the flip side of that, for venues and for business brands, you can turn around and use, with permission, of course, UGC type content. So user generated images of weddings that you've had in your space, different things like floral arrangements or partnerships that you have with other businesses in the area, and then put that on a board that's like, okay, this is a July wedding, and this is what you could plan for your wedding in July. And then that really helps the user find what they're looking for, save it as their inspiration, and then eventually when they're ready to make that, commitment into finding a place or finding that solution, they already have that on their board and they'll click through and start to learn more about you and your offer.
That makes a lot of sense. While you were talking, I was thinking, is this just a platform for kind of inspiration and design? And I want to just give some context around that. I was thinking about even this podcast, right? Or let's say someone has a venue or maybe they're just getting started. They don't maybe have a lot of pictures, but they have some inspiration in terms of what they're building into their venue. Is Pinterest still a good platform for them to be on, or do they really need to wait till maybe they've had 20 or 30 weddings and they've kind of been able to showcase all of this pretty stuff that's happened at their venue?
Yeah, so I love the context of that. And I would challenge the question back to be more of, would you wait to list your physical address on Google? Because when you have it and you're opening, you might not be ready for certain types of things, but that doesn't mean you can't get ready or can't get acquired. And so you're missing the opportunity of the people that are already planning right now if you don't at least have a profile set up, or if you don't at least have the boards that are going to connect with that right person, because they're still going to search for you. You don't have to have all the pretty pictures right now today to make it work. It's more on the keyword side and the searchability side of your business. And so if you would wait to set up a Google profile of your location and your phone number of how people can contact you, then maybe yes. But I'm guaranteeing you're probably not waiting on that. And so you shouldn't wait on the Pinterest side either.
Totally fair. Okay, that really helps. And I think it probably gives a little bit of encouragement, inspo, to people who are thinking, okay, we're going to do that eventually. Just kind of claim that digital real estate is what you're saying.
Yeah, claim it. And then remember that Pinterest is dynamic. So even if you start today on setting up that profile, but you don't have anything to the account, that is okay, because when you are ready, it is going to change and ebb and flow with you and what you put on the platform. So even in the case of you've had your business, let's say for 10 years, and you're like, we just rebranded or switched what we're offering or anything like that, don't scrap that Pinterest account. Just alter it and change it to match what you're now doing, because it is a dynamic platform and it can move and ebb and flow with you.
Laura, I want to talk about searchability and like getting found on Pinterest. But before we do that, how did you get into this? Like, what's your backstory? How did you get into the world of marketing and then more specifically Pinterest itself?
Yeah, so I'm actually a graphic design virtual assistant gone rogue. I went to school for graphic design and interior design originally. And then what I realized is I was kind of stuck doing the same mundane graphic design tasks. And I wasn't really like seeing the reward of my clients, getting in the leads and the sales and the generation side of things. And that really kind of lit me up. So I turned into a VA, and I have a 17-year-old. I have 3 kids. My 17-year-old at the time was 2, and he came up and he shut my laptop when I was a VA, and he was like, "You're on this thing all the time." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." Like, let me figure that out. So I decided that I wanted to pick one thing and really focus on it. And I knew it wasn't graphic design anymore, and I knew it wasn't virtual assistants anymore. That was back when Pinterest was invite only in like, I'm going to age myself here, but like 2010, 2009, ish. And so I really fell in love with the fact that I could be challenged daily with more marketing stuff, but bring in my love for graphic design. And so I started doing that. My clients started seeing tons of success, and it's kind of just scaled from there.
That's so cool. That's I can relate to the story about the 2-year-old. I've been there. I have 6 kids. My wife's actually pregnant with our 7th, and just we've got all the ages, 12 to he'll be a newborn. And so like you're on this thing so much, like and my 4-year-old, I have a 4-year-old. She's starting to do it now because it's funny. Even if I have literally just opened it, she shuts it. And I'm like, this is bringing back memories. That's awesome. That's fun. So when you got started, when you kind of first started building your business, how has the app changed? Because that is something I feel like Pinterest almost like I heard about it, and then it like, I almost feel like it went away for a second. I don't know if that was just me or if it maybe kind of lost some popularity or whatever. And then I've just really heard it recently. And maybe that's the environment. Maybe that's how the platform has evolved. Help me understand a little bit, since you have so much experience. How has it changed over the years?
Yeah. So the evolution definitely, I think, took a hit during like 2020 when COVID was around. I think a lot of people did really well if they were like bloggers and content creators, because people were home and they were learning how to cook and you couldn't go out. And so I think that's kind of when that shift happened, where people didn't hear about it as much in marketing, so to speak. In the past 5 years, Pinterest has really doubled down in terms of businesses, content creators, and digital and physical product owners. So it's been a massive shift into getting back to the good old days, is what I'm stating it as, where it's literally be found, click through, and then do the thing, right? Buy, sign up, whatever that goal of that pin is. I think it's really worked hard to get back to that place and stop trying to be all the things like social media is. We had back in the day where you'd comment on the pins, or you'd save everybody else's pin in hopes of getting your pins saved and click through. And all those things were minor scale in terms of strategy. And so now it's really more streamlined and focused on the keywords, the trends, how to be found first. And then what does that mean for your end goal? Whether that's just visibility and brand awareness recognition, whether that's growing your email list. Those shifts have really helped us kind of get back to the, here's a pin, here's where you go, this is what you do. So there's been a lot of changes. I'll caveat that with, though, to put a nice cozy blanket on it, the changes aren't what you see on social. They're not algorithm changes. They're changes in the code to really help us, because we are in a new digital space. We have AI. We have all these other things that can happen. And so they're really trying to make this, for a lack of a better word, clean environment online, where it's literally you and me, and then they're the middleman, just connecting the two of us. And that's really where I find join the platform now with everything that's evolving online.
That's so cool. That's really neat to kind of hear the evolution, and also that they haven't changed it in a crazy way on the algorithm side. Because if it's Instagram or some of these other platforms, like the interface is changing, like so much is changing fairly rapidly. Before we get into it, and really want to talk about searchability, but if I pull up my phone right now and I find Pinterest, okay, there it is. I've done some research on like tattoos, tattoo inspiration, because I have some tattoos, right? I've done some, my son's haircuts. There you go. Awesome. So perfect.
See that one better.
Yep, I can see that one better. Haircut inspiration, things like that. If someone is opening their phone today on Pinterest and it's filled with tattoos and haircuts, and they haven't really used it for their wedding business at all, are there some initial steps that they can do to kind of start turning their Pinterest from just a platform where they're consuming every month or two to something where they're actively getting leads?
Yeah, I love that question so much. The first thing to do is go to business.pinterest.com on your desktop and see if you actually have a business account, where you can then see the analytics that they give you, because that is like a gold mine of data, which will help you with your search when we get into that. The next thing that you can do is, if you do have a business account and you have public boards that are more personal than business side, you can keep those. You don't have to separate your personal and your business profiles. I actually say just go ahead and secret those boards. So when you go into the board, you click on edit, there's going to be an option underneath the title and description that says hide or secret. If you just toggle that on, it's no longer going to be public for your viewers, and it's not going to muddy the waters with the Pinterest computer tech side. So that way, then you can start to set up boards within interest categories that are going to be specific to bringing in those leads and bringing in the end user traffic that you're actually going for.
Or that, I realize maybe if someone's listening to this right now and they're pretty new in this, could you just very quickly zoom out and give us the architecture of Pinterest? Because you're talking about boards.
Yeah.
A board is something that we're going to make with either, could you help me kind of understand that? Like,
yeah,
making the content and posting it, or someone else's and we're repinning it, and then other people are looking at it. Kind of break that down for us.
Yep. Yeah. So as a Pinterest user, you have a profile. When you go in and search or you're scrolling the feed, it's going to show you previous searches that you've done in the past. So for example, tattoos, if you see your feed as a user, it's probably going to be mostly made up of tattoos. If you search something new, it's going to continue to focus on that and serve you content around that. So it will work dynamically based on your ability to search for what you currently want. Now, as a user, you also save those other pins. It will show up on your account under the, if you're on a desktop, saved tab. That's where you're going to see all pins every time that you log in that either you've saved or you've put on the platform. When you are a business owner, regardless if you have a business profile or just a regular profile, you will see under the saved tab, there are things called boards. And that's basically like the house with little tiny rooms inside. So your profile is your house. The boards are the rooms. And so if you had a board, let's stay on the tattoo thing. If you had a board for arm tattoos, right? And then you have a board for maybe ankle tattoos, or I don't know why forehead is coming up. Forehead tattoos, like whatever, right? I have so many tattoos. So let's just go with it. Then you would start to save the arm tattoo pins to that arm tattoo board, because that's just where you're going to be able to house them and find them quickly when you want to come back to the platform. So that's as a user side. as a business side.
Really quick, just because we were talking about tattoos, but I want to kind of make this because I was starting to lose it. I was thinking about, forehead tattoos and then just derailed.
Sorry.
No. So when we're on, let's say we have our venue business, kind of pulling it back into there and saying, okay, we have the room. So that's kind of the house, right?
Yeah.
And then the rooms are like planning at the venue, or is this seasonal weddings at this venue, or is this? Oh, okay. So I have all of the rooms.
Yes.
Planning. Okay, got it.
And so you can do, like, there's so many different things on weddings, like wedding centerpieces, wedding decorations, wedding planning, anything that you find on Pinterest, centered around weddings, you can create a board for. So one of the ways that I like to help kind of make it a little bit easier for people to understand what boards to have is Pinterest has their own interest categories. And so you can go to pinterest.com/ideas. And on there, you will see a specific category for tattoos, but also for weddings. When you click on that, if you scroll down, you're going to see related interests. These are the rooms that you can start to create as boards and then save to them. So you have small wedding ideas, wedding inspo, elegant wedding, unique wedding ideas, simple wedding, romantic wedding. All of those can be boards if your venue offers those types of things, right? You could offer a elegant and a romantic, and they could be two totally separate styles and setups. But if you have both of those boards, you're going to reach both of those people that are searching for those specific things. And I think that gets really into the weeds of the tech side of things and the strategy side of things, but it's something not a lot of people are teaching in terms of the world of Pinterest experts. Most people are saying, just go create a board. Whatever you think of that you want to offer or talk about, create a board. The computer won't understand. So stick to the ideas that Pinterest is already showing you on their ideas list.
Got it. That's so helpful. So let's talk, that's a perfect segue, I feel like, into searchability. How do we get found? Let's say we have a board on planning and specifically kind of like planning at our venue, or maybe it's something seasonal, planning a fall wedding, we were talking about North and South Carolina earlier, let's say South Carolina, planning a fall wedding in South Carolina. And we have a beautiful venue out there and, we want to create a board that has all these inspo ideas, some from our venue, maybe some kind of specific focus things that come off of other pages or other pins. What are some best practices that we can do to really be very searchable and hopefully channel the business to us or kind of generate leads, I guess, the end result?
Absolutely. So let's say fall wedding and let's say South Carolina, right? South Carolina is still a big general geolocation, but we're going to just go with it for right now. Fall wedding, to be searchable, you would want to find what the categories that Pinterest has around fall wedding. There is something, and I'll give you the link, Jonathan, you can put it in the show notes. Pinterest provides a bulk sheet interest targeting list. And so you could actually use that and search up fall weddings. And when I do that, I can find fall wedding cake, fall wedding, whatever. There are so many different things on here. We have just fall wedding, weddings by season, wedding theme. Those would all be the boards that you do so that you are reaching someone who is interested in fall weddings or seasonal weddings. Now, where it gets more strategic is on the pins. You're still going to talk about fall wedding, but you also want to layer in South Carolina so that you start to bring in that geolocation. We don't necessarily understand that as a computer Pinterest user or computer Pinterest. So that's why we stick with fall wedding or weddings by season. Then they're understanding, oh, this is someone who's interested in anything wedding around fall, around seasonal, whatever, push out whatever they save to that board to the people that are interested in those topics. Then the user will self-select when they start to say near me or South Carolina. Then that's where the pins come up that are not only fall wedding, but also location specific so that you as a venue owner can start to get in the actual leads that are going to matter for where you are as a location.
That's huge. Okay. I want to say it back because I just want to make sure that I'm understanding
100%.
So we've got our room.
Yes.
So if I'm understanding correctly, it's our fall wedding room.
Correct.
And then there's in our fall wedding room board, then we have a pin, which is an individual post. And in the pin, at the pin level, that's where we get specific to our South Carolina,
Yes.
fall planning tip or
Yes. Yep.
Oh, so is that where we kind of get like, could I have a cake? Or would I,
Yes.
if I wanted to have a cake, I should put like a different cake board. Like how, I guess my question
Good
is.
question.
Yeah.
No, I understand the question. So when you have multiple things in fall wedding for that specific location, what board is going to be the one that I save it to?
Exactly.
Okay. You're going to want multiple boards. I get this question a lot, so I knew where it was going. You want multiple boards. So you are going to have fall wedding board or room, and then you're going to have wedding cake or room, board or room. And in that one pin that you create that talks about the cake and fall weddings can go to both boards. And so this is where we get into real deep strategy with repurposing the stuff that you are creating. It's not just a one post, hope it gets picked up in the feed, and then people scroll on by. It is strategically using that one pin design that you created and putting it on multiple boards that are hyper relevant, and then interval scheduling them over time. So that one pin for fall wedding cake can go to board fall wedding today, and then a week later can go to board cake designs or wedding cake, and it's still the same pin. You're not having to recreate the wheel. So if you start doing that now, you come back a month later, you're going to still have old pins that are revolving to these other boards, and then you're going to continually add in new pins. And so it's just going to start compounding, where me personally, I'm not targeting weddings, but I'm scheduled out through mid-May because I've now built up these pins that are repurposing for me by showing different people. Because remember how we talked in the beginning about you may be searching for fall wedding. I may be searching for cake wedding or wedding cakes. And so I want to reach both types of searches with this one pin creative that I've designed. Does that kind of help answer that?
It makes so much sense. And then it leads me to another question, which is, if we're a wedding venue, and let's say the thing that people can buy from us is the date reservation.
Yep.
It sounds like it's not as efficient to post a cake because we might get someone who's at the cake selection phase of their journey. They've already chosen their venue, so we're kind of catching them way further down the line. Is that the mentality that we should have? And should we be posting more like planning tips and venue design centric things? Or is this really a place where creating a entire wedding planning world makes sense because people are just kind of scrolling at all stages of the planning process?
Yeah, so I'll answer that with my own experience of the wedding planning process. I think you want a well-rounded strategy. If you focus more heavily on just the venue, right, like we are, then that's probably going to be about 60% of your content. However, when I started planning my wedding with Pinterest inspiration, I did not have a venue chosen yet. I just got so stinking excited that I was finally getting married. It had been, side note, 11 years we had been together. So I was just so excited. I started pinning anything and saving everything and looking for everything. Then when I found out the one venue that I wanted was booked during the 2 months that we wanted to do the wedding, I had to go back and start searching again, even though I knew exactly what my cake was going to be. I knew exactly what my bridesmaids were going to wear. So there are different pieces of the puzzle that are unseen to us as the business owner and the venue owner. So if you mix in other things like that, then they will remember because they are planning. And so they always come back to that during this whole planning process. And if something falls through, you've still offered them other advice and tips outside of just the venue, you're going to be remembered. And then they can come back to you and say, well, I already have my cake, but can I bring it in here? Because venues do also, as you guys know, have different rules and regulations. So it gets that person to come back. Now, like I said in the beginning, though, focus a good big chunk on what it is you're going to offer. So venue setup, venue location, availability times, things that you have already, make sure that's a big bulk, at least like 50 to 60% of what you're putting out there. But you don't want to miss out on the opportunity of someone that doesn't have a venue, that is only thinking about cakes right now because they just got proposed to 2 weeks ago. And so we want to make sure we're hitting everybody during this whole planning phase of their strategy.
That makes so much sense. And especially because we know people are planning their weddings before they even do their venue tours and before they get engaged. We've done plenty of tours with engaged people, of course, but then also folks that are not engaged. And they're like, hey, I'm just kind of trying to figure out how much this is going to cost just in general. Yeah. And I feel like that used to be a little bit more, I don't want to say shocking, but like, oh, wow, that's wild. Like this gal is not engaged yet and she's doing a tour with her mom. I've seen that so much lately. And
yeah. My now husband and I did that, actually. We had been together for 6 years and we knew we wanted to get married because to us, it was the experience. We already had everything together. We already lived together, had the kids, everything. So we went and we were planning for the budget and the availability. And we know that venues know that people plan out years in advance. And so they could say, oh, I'm engaged, but I don't want to get married till 2027. So can we book the day? Right? And so you just want to make sure that you are offering a solution to them in their time of need right now so that you can be the solution when they are actually ready.
That makes so much sense. It's kind of all of the framing work that needs to be done. So help me understand, if someone they're developing their Pinterest strategy, is this about how much money you put into the platform on kind of a sponsored post? Is this about keywords? Like, what increases our likelihood? Is it volume? Just post pin volume, like millions of pins, and we're going to get seen everywhere. What's the action that we need to take to increase our, I don't know, we said searchability, findability, maybe, what can we do to make sure that we're going to get these leads?
Yeah, so these are great statements that a lot of people have online when it comes to just misinformation about Pinterest. You don't have to post 500 times a day. I actually did a case study once where we had one client doing 3 posts a day, and she scheduled out the entire month in advance with us. And then I had another person that was doing 17 pins a day. The incremental percentage increases for both of them were almost dang near the same. And so even though they had different numbers, the percents of the outbound clicks and the leads and things like that were so close. It was hard to say that you have to stick to a specific goal. It's really dependent on the quality of content that you have and that you put out. and the keyword targeting that you are doing. So there's a lot of different strategies in terms of keyword layering and making sure that you're targeting multiple keywords within that same interest category. I mean, there's a lot of deeper end SEO stuff that can get involved in it, but it's really based on the quality and consistency that you provide the platform.
Okay, so you said consistency there, so maybe regular posting, but then quality. So quality, when you talk about keywords, are you talking about within the pin? So it's a picture of a beautiful tablescape at your venue, and you're talking about fall weddings, but then you're also in the written description part or the written part, you're writing fall weddings. You're like using these keywords that Pinterest is using to decide. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so being that it is a search-based platform, it is visually searchable as well. So the pin should have the image. A lot of wedding photographers and wedding venues, I wouldn't say the right word is struggle, but get nervous about putting words on top of those gorgeous images. And you have to remember it is a visual search platform. So I do challenge those individuals to test just the image and then the image with those keywords. And then also go and you have the place to put the title and the description. You should have keywords in both of those as well. So making sure that you're layering what your target is, what that keyword is you want to be found for. It could be a phrase. It could be an answer to a question, but you want to make sure it's in all three of those places.
That makes a lot of sense. I briefly mentioned like advertising on there. Is advertising on Pinterest, is there a value opportunity there when evaluating it against Google and Meta and of course all the platforms? Is Pinterest a good place to spend advertising dollars?
1,000,000%. Yeah, the CPMs or cost per impression is way cheaper, in my opinion, for my clients when I do the management of their ads on Pinterest than anything they've provided me for Google or Facebook or Instagram. It really depends on your end goal, if it's going to provide value for you or not. So if you are a venue owner that only has, let's say, a homepage and a landing page to contact, you're probably going to do better on ads than organic because you can only share that URL once every 7 to 10 days-ish. There are certain rules you can break that or go longer, but with ads, you don't have that. So if your goal is to get leads, then I would push you more towards ads because you can get those leads, no problem, with that one landing page. Now, if you're a venue or a business owner that has tons of content and videos and pictures and landing pages and all this, then you can do both organic and ads. I would say make sure that you have that strong house foundation and that pillar with the rooms and the main structure. And then you can move into ads if and when you're ready. So there's a huge opportunity for both. It just depends on what that end goal is. You can see, if you are someone who starts and stops ads, you can see a big flux in your organic traffic as well. So it can help and hurt you during that time when you turn them on and turn them off. So you just have to be mindful of little nuanced things like that.
Got it. That makes so much sense. And I wanted to ask about that. I was curious because, I've seen, like, as I've scrolled Pinterest, I've seen, a little like sponsored thing, or it'll be from like Alibaba or AliExpress or, Etsy or some of these things where people are pretty clearly, there's an ask there. There's a sales, a transaction that is expected or encouraged. And in the wedding space, I think it's kind of limited. Like, maybe it's like every other industry. We can do our platforms, our Wedding Wire, The Knot, Here Comes the Guide, Party Slate, Zola, whatever it is. That's over there, those platforms. And then we've got the search platforms, Google, Meta, Pinterest, and so that's very, very interesting. I'm excited to check that out for myself because that's something that we haven't explored as a company. But it's probably time. We've done some pinning, and one of these days we should like actually evaluate some of our own accounts on some of these things and probably get roasted. But no,
I won't. If you send it to me, I won't roast you. I promise.
Awesome. Awesome. Good news. If you send your stuff to Laura, she's not going to roast you. Tell me a little bit about how you work with clients, and then we'll wrap up there. If someone was interested in working with you, or maybe they are just like, gosh, Laura, this is all this Pinterest stuff. Like, I get it. I'm hearing you, but it's over my head. And, do you provide done for you services? What's the format here?
Yeah, for sure. So I am very structured. I have a growth to greatness framework. So I teach a 4-part pillar system, setup, systems, strategy, and scaling. And I make sure that it's offered in the 3 types of ways that people learn. So do it yourself. I have courses and workshops and programs available where you can learn on your own, self-paced. I do have a done with you program where you get access to anything I sell online and then coaching calls monthly. And then I also have management sides. So there's 2 sides to my management. We have organic and ads, full management. I handle everything for you. It's not time intrusive for you. The only thing is just filling out the forms in the beginning, helping me really understand your brand. And then we take it all hands off, give you reports every week. The other side of things is if you already have an assistant or a VA or someone that implements a lot of your marketing for you, but they don't understand the Pinterest piece, I do have something where I write up monthly everything that VA needs to do and understand and provide Loom videos with it so that they just take that SOP, implement it for you in the month, and then I give you another SOP next month. I go based on the actual data on the back end, everything. So it's tailored direct to you. And that's organic and ads as well.
That's so cool. I love that you said you tailor it to how people learn things. Because some people do. They want to do it by themselves, and it makes financial sense, maybe even in the beginning when there's not a lot of revenue, if they're bootstrapping it. I love that. That's really considerate and thoughtful for how you have that set up. So I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, Laura, anything that I want to wrap up here today. I know we could talk about the platform for so long. It's impossible for us to cover everything, but is there anything else from a high level perspective that you would say people need to know when it comes to marketing on Pinterest?
High level, the easiest thing that I can say is just implement. Like, honestly, don't worry about if it's not perfect. Don't worry if the pin didn't have the quote unquote right keyword. Don't go back and delete anything. Don't waste your time doing any of that. Just start. And then you can start to see the little incremental movements that will help you get more excited about continuing on that journey.
Got it. I love that. The small steps and then just building up into it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Laura, thanks so much for your time. This was really fun. And I'm excited for people to check out Pinterest. I'm excited for our company to check it out more. I think it could be a missed opportunity for a lot of folks in this industry, where we're focused on some of these other platforms, and Pinterest is right there waiting to be a fantastic marketing avenue for us. So thanks for sharing that with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And if you guys have any questions or need some follow-up advice, feel free to just reach out.
Amazing. We'll have links to everything, your website and all of that in the description of this. It'll be on podcast as well. And I'm excited. We'll keep the conversation going here.
Hey, just wanted to take a quick break and share a little bit about Common Sense Events consulting packages. In the last couple of years, we've selectively partnered with some venue owners to provide consulting services, and this year, we're looking to take on more consulting clients. We've had such a good time and been able to provide a lot of value, and our team has now worked with over 11 venues and hosted hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weddings, and essentially compressed and compiled all of that information into consulting packages that can be custom created to fit the needs of your venue. If you are concerned with your current venue's performance, or maybe you're brand new to the industry and you're just looking for a partner to kind of help get things off the ground, our team would love to be considered to serve you and your venue in that capacity. So you could reach out at venues@cseventservices.com. You can also just click the link in the description of this video or podcast, and we'd love to hear about your venue and see if there's a way that we could partner with you and serve you. All right, back to the show.